Hi, I'm Chris Ott, and you are back on the Chris Ott Show, and I'm here again with my guest, Christina Riley. This is our second conversation, and she's going to take it up from where she left off before, because you had a couple things you wanted to clarify, and then you just take it where you want. But I want you to get on about you. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll do my thing, and then you can. I'll follow your thing.
Okay, go ahead.
So, in the interim, since you last interviewed me, I had an opportunity to talk with my dad and clarify. My mother has passed away, so obviously I can't talk with her, and clarify how they actually met. And it turns out that there was a stream in Woodstock located quite a ways into the woods. I don't know if you remember, but if you were to take Tinker Street out towards Bearsville, there was like a big rock monument to Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah. So you start at the Apple Rock and you walk upstream. And right, I've done that.
Yeah, so Apple Rock. So you have to go through the woods and all this.
And Damien and I ran into some girls skinny dipping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was the place to skinny dip because there was. It's hard to get to, and you could probably not have any interruptions.
Damien's not the guy you want to be with when you come on. Okay. For another time.
For another time. So my mother and her two sisters and my grandmother and grandfather lived on Tinker Street in front of the field behind which was Apple Rock.
Okay.
So they were like perfectly positioned to have it be their private little place because they just would walk through the field and be right there.
Right.
And you wouldn't walk through the field otherwise. No. You'd go through the road where the Johnny Appleseed thing
you'd
was.
Wade through the stream.
And you'd like go like all like this, but they just like cut through the field. There was a path actually that they had made. So the four of them, my mother, her two sisters, and my grandmother, would all go and swim. And it was, my grandmother was the chaperone, so to speak. She would go with her daughter. She wouldn't let them go alone. She's European. So you can imagine there's 3 women in bathing suits. Mom, okay, she's in a bathing suit, but maybe she doesn't look so great. I think actually she had great legs, but whatever. So, so here are 3 women who were in bathing suits. My mother was at that time in her senior year at Wheaton College, and she was the captain of the cheerleading team. So my mother was like a cheerleader and the captain of her team.
Amazing.
So can you imagine what her body looked like?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Right.
And so
she was supposed to marry the captain of the
whatever.
But she got Tom.
So here she is on Apple Rock, the rock, sunning herself, and my dad comes up through the road because he just wants to go swimming, and he's a lone wolf or something, just goes by himself, and he comes upon these 3 bathing suit women, and he just goes like, and he's completely.
And he was a teenager.
He was 20.
Oh.
20. I think 23.
Oh.
23.
Then my mom knew him before.
Oh my gosh. Your mom and my dad went on a date. Did you know that?
Oh no, I don't want to hear about it.
I know. Just one.
I'm uncomfortable.
Just one date. So,
does that
and
mean
your mom
that
doesn't
maybe
remember?
we're brother and sister?
No, that was years before.
Sorry.
Oh no. Oh wait, no. I see what you're saying. Oh my God. You look like your dad. You look like your dad.
No, I'm joking. It doesn't actually follow.
So.
By the way, I mentioned Damien, and I didn't say your brother.
My
Damien,
brother, my younger brother Damien.
The audience doesn't know what we're talking about.
My younger brother Damien.
We both grew up in Woodstock, New York, where both Rileys, her family, and my family, the Otts, heard of Baba. So we go way back.
In the way back machine.
Yeah,
yes.
in the way back machine.
So my dad comes upon these 3 women who couldn't be looking more gorgeous in the sun, And he immediately strikes up a conversation with the best looking one among them.
Really?
Which was my mom.
Great. Well, good for him. I could never do that.
And so he's like swims out there and goes, "Hi." And because my grandmother is there, I know, I can't picture it either. Because my grandmother is there, it
Not
has
his
to
style
be.
now.
No, totally. So my grandmother's there, so he has to keep it, totally, just like, "Hi, would you like to go have a soda?" So, and they do, and that's how it developed. And it turned out that they were both in school in Manhattan at that time. So it was like, "Oh, you're in school
They were
in
both
Manhattan?
just home for
I am too. How about we
summer.
meet?" Yeah. How about we, or summer? I think it was summer. How about we meet and have a coffee in Manhattan?
Yeah.
And so it just, and I asked him why he felt that relationship developed. And I don't know, I can't remember if I mentioned it, but I don't think I did. He was dating another woman, and that was progressing.
Mm.
And that woman's family and that woman thought my dad and she were going to get married.
Mm.
I mean, it was on track.
Mm.
Everyone was thinking that. And when he met my mom, it was her interest and his interest in Meher Baba that totally derailed his established on-track relationship with this other girl. And he said to me, yes, she was extremely disappointed for years. And I said, well, that was crappy.
Well, no, I mean, they were engaged, or whatever. That's why you get engaged.
No, but I'm saying, I said, well, that was crappy of you to kind of derail that.
Yeah, okay.
And he said, I've thought about that.
Oh, good.
And his conclusion is that their mutual receptivity to Meher Baba, she was not receptive to Meher Baba. Their mutual,
that would have been terrible.
Yeah, their mutual receptivity to Meher Baba made that be the path.
Right.
So Meher Baba has been in my life since the very beginning of my parents even meeting.
Right.
Yeah. And that was really interesting. I didn't know that. Or maybe I'd been told, but I forgot.
Yeah, well, it was a Baba family from the start. It wasn't
Absolutely.
like a family that came to Baba.
Absolutely.
So it's very unusual. Like, I say, well, my first couple of guests, they don't have a coming to Baba story because they were born into Baba, but it was more like, even more than born into Baba. It's like, your mom and dad came together in Baba. Yeah.
That was the thing that made them make the choice.
If I was to say, struck me that their relationship, they later divorced and
after 25 years of marriage.
Right, and then he married Kathy Riley.
Haas Riley.
At the time, right. And I interviewed her, as you know, and that was nice. And,
it was a very good interview.
Thank you. That was sweet of you to say.
It's true. It was a good interview.
Okay, but anyway, my parents, similarly, their relationship, I mean, they weren't married when I was born, actually. So, but they were coming together. I mean, they didn't hear about Baba, except from your parents, until the 1964, and I was born in 59. But still, they were philosophically compatible. And so their entire relationship was a spiritual relationship. It's kind of funny. They have these kids. But fundamentally, it's a meeting of seekers.
Yes.
In both our families.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It wasn't a couple that became seekers or anything like that.
Or dabblers.
Yeah. No. Or right.
Yeah. Now, I think I left off with my parents obtaining this piece of property, my mother going to the library and getting a book on how to build a house. And they, amazingly, with a handsaw, built a house. And that started
Did they have a hammer too?
They had a hammer too. And my dad, you know, here I am in diapers. No, I was, I don't know, I was like 5, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I was running around, and you know, he had me pounding, straightening out nails. If you really wanted to keep a kid busy, tell him to straighten out nails.
By the way, that's when I
yes,
met you.
yes,
Yeah.
and that was my segue.
Okay.
I was going to segue into
to make this
your
all
family.
about me, right? You're gonna find a way
to make it about us.
Yeah. No,
wait.
it doesn't need to be. It's supposed to be about you. Okay,
And
go
how
on.
can it be just about me? It can't be. It has to be
Yes.
about you too, because
Yes.
it's so unique.
Let's talk about you. Have you seen my latest movie?
I'm tired of talking about me. You talk about me.
Yeah, I'm always talking about me. I'm going to give somebody else a chance.
Just to talk about me. Oh my gosh. So at this time, my mom was doing part-time physical therapy through different doctors in the area. She really, I don't know what was going on with that, but so the doctor would have a patient, and then my mother would, in a kind of a freelance kind of a way, but I think she was billed through the doctor, so she gave the doctor an invoice, the doctor, yeah, I think it was that way. Certainly that would make sense for whatever kind of insurance structure there was at that time. So,
And she was a physical therapist.
and she was a master's degree physical therapist. And I had heard stories from her about miraculous things that she did that changed people's lives by helping them walk again and rehabilitating them in many ways, veterans and all kinds of people. So at that time, your dad had an issue, a physical issue. I don't
His
know
back.
His back, okay, you're telling me. So he had this physical issue.
I just remember Mom saying, "Don't get on his back. He broke his back." Of course, he didn't break his back.
Okay.
But that's what you say. That's what you say to a 4-year-old.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right. It has to be dramatic.
He has a broken back.
It has to be dramatic.
Yeah.
So my mother was sent by the doctor to give your dad physical therapy.
Oh, okay.
And that was how she and he started talking about Meher Baba. And Lynn, I remember Lynn telling me, your dad Lynn, telling me that my mom was his Baba contact.
Right.
And very few people had my mom as a Baba contact, because they were like most couples, they're together, and my dad was kind of, you know, the person who would lead the meetings and things like that. So most people who came to Meher Baba through my parents say, oh, through Tom. It was
Well,
not
I
through
have to
Ron.
add something just that you don't know. That there's a event that I know from my family lore. Okay, that comes a little earlier. That is about Tom, but not with my dad. It was with my mom. Now, a little while before that, my mother, people heard in town. I mentioned this to your dad, and he says they would have heard it through the art students.
Yes.
Everybody knew
The
what
art
everybody
students,
was doing.
absolutely.
But she had heard that Tom had been in India. No, Lynn had even heard this. He hadn't heard about it. He just heard Tom Riley is in India seeing a silent master. And my dad thought, why would you go all the way to India to see a person who's silent?
I can't
That
even
doesn't
talk
make
to
any
you.
sense.
I
Yeah, that
can't even
doesn't
talk
make
to you.
any sense. And then my mother's story was that she ran into Tom, like, I picture it at a yard sale or something, but I don't know.
The Grand Union.
Maybe the Grand, yeah. The grocery store, right?
Grocery
Yeah.
store, yeah.
And so, she said, so, are you doing any art? And he said, no, I'm not an artist right now. I had to get a job. It might have been that bus driving job you told me about. Who knows? Because it was a
Part-time
job.
substitute teacher
Oh.
or
Oh.
bus driver.
Okay,
did
so he
both.
said, I had to get a job, so I'm not an artist. And Phyllis said very proudly, oh, well, I'm always an artist. And then he said, well, I just met Meher Baba, and he says that you were once a tree. And then she went away going, what's that? So that was actually earlier.
You were once a tree.
You were once
I don't
a
know,
tree.
That's not the way
Yeah,
that I would
she-
introduce the
yeah.
concept of
I know, but it
reincarnation
really
to anyone.
It was perfect for Mom. You know, it's still about her, but she was a tree. And she's not always
Would
an artist.
you choose that as your line number one as to how
It
you
might have.
introduce
He might
the
have said,
concept?
we were once a tree or something, but basically that's it's something about being a tree. The point being, no, actually, we're not always artists. And Tom was right. We know now from Baba. Reincarnation.
I don't know. I'm on page with your mom. I'm on
Okay.
page with your mom.
Oh,
there.
funny. I thought you would.
No, I'm on
Okay.
page with your mom because, an artist, their creativity will come out however. If you're tapped,
Okay.
there are people who paint things and they're not artists.
Okay.
I mean, they're
Well, he's
they're
looking
artisans.
at the big story from the Big Bang.
Oh, he stepped back way
Yeah,
far.
he stepped
Okay,
way back.
Way back.
But it still was like a mind blower. Like this
Oh,
guy,
sure.
they knew that he had met somebody.
You know,
they
that-
weren't clear about
that
it.
that
Okay.
would connect to.
But then Yvonne actually
That's
began
right.
to tell them who
As-
Mayor Baba is, the word avatar,
Yeah.
what Baba says,
That would make
as
sense.
she's doing this back.
Right. Like she would mention it, and he would go. I'm imagining your dad would go, "Oh yeah, I heard," and then their conversation.
By the way, I
would
always
cascade.
pictured her massaging, but she probably wasn't massaging. She probably was going, because I know from Maya, I once saw Maya,
Yeah.
and it's more like, now I'm going to teach you how to stand.
And
Now
move
that
your
it's-
leg like this,
Right.
and do this,
That's
and
right.
do this.
So
yeah.
you're moving around.
Yeah,
It's
and
not
you're
like you're
like-
laying on a bed getting a massage.
Right.
She's
and
not a
you're-
masseuse.
Like, do this with your arm 20
Right.
times every day, that
That's
kind
right.
of thing.
Right.
But, so, yeah. Now, I had told you about living in that house prior to the one my parents built, and that little poem that I said. That was the time when our families connected. That
Oh.
whole thing. So I don't know if your parents were smoking pot or not.
More my mom.
Yeah. Okay. So,
My dad liked to drink more.
okay, so I think, I'm just going to say I made it up because I don't really know, but I think your parents came to our house and there were like not meetings around a book, but real discussions of spiritual development.
Well, can I, I'm interviewing you, but I know a few things too, so we'll
Well,
make
I
it.
wanna know.
Great. So, and again, my first girlfriend, who I still love, her name is Lisa. I know. We're not together anymore, but maybe in our next life.
Oh, guaranteed.
Okay, so she used to, when I was telling her about 20 years old, I would tell her the story of my parents, and the really fascinating stuff like we're talking about. And she would call it the Ott lore. So, anyway, in the Ott lore, so there's the Riley lore, the Ott lore. Yeah. And we now have a lot of our own lore, right?
Yeah.
But
it's like humans do it.
right. But they did have great stories. I mean, they're hard to top. I
want to hear one here.
But my parents would go to the Monday night meeting at the Rileys right away.
Yep.
And I wanted to go to the meetings, and I don't know why. I don't
Because mom and
remember
dad are
this.
going.
Yeah, probably for that. So I go, well, I was very interested in the readings.
At age 4.
4. I was 4. No, I was 4. I mean, that is the age.
Especially
And
the
so,
one on the deeper aspects of
but
sadhana.
my sisters didn't want to go, but I wanted to. And by the way, I'm the last Bob lover of my siblings.
What does that mean, last?
The other ones disavow me or
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So it would make sense that I wanted to go to the meetings when I was 4.
It was
But anyway, my mom had to pay me $1 not to go, and she'd write me a check, and then I would take it down to
Your
the
mom,
Tyson store
when
at the
I'm
bottom of
with
the hill
When I'm with your
and
mom,
get candy.
tears. I'm going to say that to the extent that I am capable, I love your mom.
Oh.
I do. I love your mom.
Well, we'll do another talk about my mom.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to add, is the Monday night meetings, and I don't remember them. But I wanted.
Because you didn't go, and
there was some.
you started a career of savings.
Monday night meeting, because I know I was 4, okay, and it's
So I must have been- I was
historical. Well, you
6.
were 6, and
6,
I was 4,
okay.
and Damien was 3, and I don't remember this either. But the ones who told me was Gene Shaw, that there was a meeting, and it was some other place, and besides your house, and Timothy Leary and Alan Cohen and
Oh,
Baba Ramdas
Oh.
all came, and
Oh.
I was there, and you must have been there.
I got something to tell you.
Okay, I was crawling around under the chairs, I imagine, tying
Okay.
shoelaces.
All right. Picture this.
Yeah.
The Maverick.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to call it the Maverick
Right.
because I think.
It's like, I have to explain to the audience.
Yeah.
Because it took me a while. The Maverick. It's a road called
Yeah.
the Maverick.
And
It's
they
like
were
on the Riviera.
Maverick
They live
artists.
on the Maverick. It's
The
like
Riviera,
They
right.
live on the Thames. Yeah, they made the road into like an extravagant
Well,
European river.
It was because
'Cause we don't
those
say,
people were Mavericks.
I live on, Leroy Road, on the Leroy.
The Leroy.
Yeah,
right. Okay. So, picture this road.
All artists and wealthy people.
No.
No.
Some. But it would only be wealthy people's summer home.
Oh, okay.
All right? So, if you had wealth, you wouldn't live there because it's out of town.
Okay.
Unless you really wanted to be away and do something away from
But
town.
when the rich people had their summer home, did they literally know and want to be near the artists who were poorer, or no?
No, I
Oh.
don't know.
Wasn't like that. I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
But here's the interesting part. So,
Oh, by the way, the point of that story
oh,
is that we were Baba lovers before Alan Cohen, because that was I
well,
emailed
that I
him.
know. That I know.
Oh, I didn't know that till
Yeah.
we communicated about that.
He
and
came- he
he heard about Baba that day.
He can't
Yeah.
really.
Or like right
Yeah.
before they got in the car.
So when he came here at the Circle Center
Yeah.
for last year's 2017 Circle of Friends annual meeting, and he was the guest speaker.
Right.
When I came over to say hello to him, I said something like, "It's so good to see someone from the old days."
Well, he might not have even known what you were
And
referring to.
there was not, he didn't.
He didn't get it.
He didn't get it.
He
He
didn't
didn't
get
come
it.
back with it.
No,
He didn't
people
come back
don't
with
get
it.
that. They don't. Also, people don't know how conscious we were. I mean,
I
I
guess.
was.
Yeah.
I mean, like 69 Darshan. I go, I was
Oh,
9
yeah.
years old.
I
And they
totally
go, yeah, but
remember
you weren't
that.
conscious. I go, I'm sorry, I hate to tell you, but you become conscious like at a
No,
birth.
no, just because you
I was-
weren't conscious doesn't mean that I wasn't.
Yeah, because I was very conscious. And I was already, judging people and thinking about what's going on.
Why do
So,
I have to
go
take
on.
my shoes off?
I was very conscious little kid.
Okay, so here's the story about what you were just saying about the Timothy Leary and all of that. Guess who was doing their LSD experiments in the Maverick? The whole group. You know the LSD.
My mother told me that she was taken to some place, and maybe it was in the Maverick, and Lynn wanted her to, she claims Lynn wanted her to try the LSD because he didn't want to touch it.
Right.
And they did LSD, and I think with Timothy Leary.
It was Timothy Leary, Alan Cohen, and there were at least 2 other guys. I'm not into LSD and haven't
Right,
been.
neither me.
So I
Neither
never
me.
did any
Yeah,
research. It
we're
doesn't
not.
interest. I mean, I'm
No,
not.
We're not. That's not.
I'm not
us.
there.
No.
So I just don't know who they all were. But these were the people who were doing that seminal research.
But it's good to tell the audience that Mayor Baba's general order, I think, about drugs hadn't come out yet.
Hadn't come out yet.
And that's like 66, and this is 64.
But I'm telling you
Yeah.
that.
Just so that they don't think, what were they doing?
Well, of
Yeah.
the how many Baba people in New York State?
Oh,
Like
probably 5.
6? Okay,
Yeah,
5.
I'd go with 5, but you can, I'll concede to 6. We
Okay.
once did a thing, a lot of people don't know. We once did a thing, and I found out it was true.
What?
We guessed at 225 Baba lovers before 1967.
Before 1960. Oh my God.
And you know what? So they
a lot of
say,
them are old.
no,
A lot of them are really old people from the 40s.
they
and
were
30s.
all met Baba. Everyone,
Yeah, they all met
except
Baba.
us. Okay, go on.
So think about it. How many people had connection with Mayor Baba? And not just connection, like, yeah, I heard about him. Like, have met him and had a spiritual, psychic change, totally gave up drugs, totally dedicated their life to Meher Baba. How many of those people were there in New York State? date, okay?
Yeah, well, yeah,
And
absolutely.
the two people,
In 1964.
absolutely the two people in Woodstock, were like an eighth of a mile away from where all of this seminal LSD research was happening. Call it coincidence? I don't know.
Well,
My dad knew these people.
Oh, okay.
He knew these people. So they could not have not heard about Mayor Baba.
Oh, oh, of course. Well, I don't.
I
mean,
just think it's
that
really
they heard about
interesting.
him, and then that's why they came to Woodstock to hear Darwin Shaw's talk.
Maybe
Darwin Shaw was
that's,
giving a talk.
You're right. You're right.
And then they had come to hear.
So
and
Mayor
then
Bob
James said that one of them. They would think, did you get? Alan Cohn would lean into Timothy Leary and go, "Did you get that? Did you get that?" Whatever Darwin would say. Did you get that?
Did you
Like
get
they were
that?
being academics, you know.
Oh yeah, they were clinical.
Yeah.
It's totally clinical.
No, I mean, you mustn't picture these guys with long, well,
No.
a string of
They
hair.
were PhDs.
They
were
looked,
PhDs.
They looked like they were nerds.
Yeah, they would have to look like you would have to look like at Harvard.
Absolutely, button-down shirts,
Yeah, at
short hair.
Harvard. So, I guess what I'm saying is, Meher Baba has been connected and through people, and we know that that is a way that God works, is through the channel of people. Meher Baba's been connected to the drug movement from very early on.
Well, okay, fine.
Yeah.
It could be misunderstood, what you just said. I mean, he connected to, it's within proximity to, always in contact with, but certainly not part of it, not helping it along.
I believe Meher Baba was God in human form. But I'm not going to say, oh, well, that just means it's all magic. No. The laws of the universe are such that there are rules and things follow rules. So when Meher Baba came out with God in a Pill, there'd already been a lot of connection.
Yeah.
To
That's what God and Pill
the
is.
drug
It's the
move-
correspondence,
the drug
some of the
movement.
correspondence.
Yeah.
Taken
So
from-
it was a natural and organic thing for Meher Baba to.
Anyway,
It wasn't like out of nowhere.
We were close to that center of that.
Wackadoodle.
Yeah.
Wackadoodle. These people were way in their head. Anyway, so
Let's get off that and get on something else.
I might.
I don't like
have a
the
different
glorified
opinion.
drugs. So
No,
a lot of
no.
people are like, oh, Timothy Leary, you met him.
Oh, you know who else? He just died recently. What was his name? From California. He was part of that. And he was there.
Ramdas?
No. A Baba guy. What was his name?
Richard
Dreyfuss.
Dreyfuss?
Yeah, Richard Dreyfuss was there.
Oh, okay.
He
By
was
the way,
there.
Ramdas might not have been there. It might have been Richard Dreyfuss was the third.
Richard Dreyfuss was there.
Yeah.
Not knowing.
Richard, Allen, and Timothy.
And I asked my dad, and he said, no, Richard and I had not met. And so Richard Dreyfuss was
Yeah, but
an
it was-
eighth of a mile away,
Right.
and they never met. But
Yeah.
my dad had met
Yeah.
Alan Cohen, because I think Richard Dreyfuss, maybe he didn't come to that event. I don't know.
Well, I think he might have been the third guy. I don't know, there were three guys.
Yeah.
I know that Timothy and Alan were two.
Had a little too much coffee here, but okay, so
Alan's the one who sort of remembers.
yeah. So there we go. That's how our family got connected.
Well, let's take it out to a less druggy note, because our family at least was not very druggy. I mean, my mom did a little pot, but I might have tried LSD.
After my dad was told by Meher Baba,
Yeah.
don't do those anymore. Here's what my dad said. You could have boiled me in oil, and I would never have smoked pot again.
Was it you who told me that
Boil
Baba
me in
said
oil.
to your father, it's a good thing that you stopped, because if you hadn't, I wouldn't have been able to help you? Somebody else may have told me that.
I
Okay.
never heard that, but, and my mom was just not oriented to, she was just, if you, whatever. I think.
Or my dad.
Yeah, she was just a person who, like, if that's what everyone's doing, yeah, sure, okay. But, so that's how our family met, and I can remember very, very vividly being aware that I must not tell anybody that I'm involved with Meher Baba at school.
You were right. Because I learned that too.
Yeah.
But I learned it a couple of times. Like, it's like,
you had to learn
I forgot. Oh, okay, now I got it this time. But I got real good at it.
Yeah. And when the 1969 Darshan happened, and you and I both were at the 1969.
Yeah, let's talk about that because
I came back
we've
with
never
sorry.
talked about that. Yeah.
A little kid's sorry, you know.
Right. Shelley and Leslie had them too. I mean, no,
Yeah.
they're younger. And my sister Betsy got a sorry.
It's a girl thing.
Okay.
So I remember coming to school with the sorry on.
Oh, bad move.
No.
Oh,
And
good move?
I was thinking that this would be, oh, Christina has gone halfway across.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 11.
Cosmopolitan.
Yeah. I'm 11 years old.
11-year-old.
11-year-old who is thinking, you know, I've been halfway across the world. You know, maybe I can use this as some kind of cachet in the social pecking order of my
they'll put me in
5th grade
a special
class. You know?
unit class.
My 6th grade class. So, yeah, that did not work out. That did not work out. The teacher was well, I won't go into that, but so up to that point, I had, and even then, I really did not ever communicate to anyone outside my family and your family that I was part of a family that followed an Eastern master.
It was just too freaking hard to explain. Even the word master didn't mean anything to anybody.
Oh my gosh.
In those days.
Oh my gosh.
Now it does.
You know,
Now they know
like,
what you mean.
isn't that what it has on that record with the dog, My Master's Voice?
Yeah, that's right.
Like,
Oh,
whatever.
so you were a slave?
Whatever. And that,
Even though it clearly says master in the Bible,
Yeah.
of Jesus. He's master.
yeah, well,
Master.
you know, most people don't want to have a master. So that created,
No.
they don't.
Well, for them.
Yeah. So that created for me a secrecy.
Oh, yeah.
A
Me too.
secrecy.
Oh, yeah.
Meher Baba
Learn to live your
became
life
a secret.
with a double life.
Yes.
Nothing wrong
Or
with
just
that.
a secret. It's like
Secret.
keeping a secret.
Yeah.
And it's a family secret. And it's also a separate community, an exclusive community secret. Because as a child, now Meher Baba had sent correspondence over the years to my parents, and I believe your parents as well, about, yes, please, you know, let us know what radio spots you're doing, let us know
we
what
didn't
newspaper articles and magazine articles, you know, like all methods of communicating Meher Baba's message. You're going to be doing that. Just keep us in the loop about
Well, then
what
that
we're
was
doing.
special for your family because we were never expected to. And when
Oh.
at the center, we were expected to meet people who already knew Baba. So we
Yeah.
had a different role.
Well, this is
Because the Rileys, you know, did bring us. We never brought anybody to Baba, our family.
Oh, I'm sure you did
I mean, not that I'm aware of.
on the center. I'm sure.
Well,
They
but
would already
they
have been
were
there.
already,
Yeah, they
yeah,
were there. Anyway, so but
captive audience,
that
like in an
didn't-
airport.
that didn't extend to me and my brother. You know, my parents were encouraged to reach out to others, but I was not reaching out to anybody because that would have had way too much liability. for
Did
me.
you notice? I've never asked you this before, so I don't know the answer. It's a kind of a disappointing being ignored by Baba, and so for the most part in the correspondences and stuff. What were they supposed to do? We're little kids. They didn't meet us. I mean, I'm
That
not
would
saying
never
they
was
could
a
have
thing
done
for
better.
me. That was never a thing for me.
Oh, it was a little bit for me.
That's interesting.
I would have liked.
You felt a little left out.
Well, Baba did have a little more connection with my 3 sisters who don't follow him. Okay. Only recently I had a couple of things where I found out Baba was really aware of me and my sister Leslie, but I didn't learn till recently. But it wasn't. Well, what it was that my do you remember when we were supposed to write letters to
Yes.
Mama? What year was that? How old were we?
I was.
Was it 65?
I think I was 9 or 10. I'm not sure.
It was the last time he canceled the Darshan, so maybe it was 67. That would make you like 11 and me 9.
No. That would make me
7.
9.
No,
That would
9.
make me 9.
Oh,
Because my birthday is at the very end of the year.
it wasn't.
Of 57.
Oh,
So
okay.
anytime during 57,
No, but
I'm not. having a
anyway,
birthday.
there was this thing, and we were supposed to send it. And I was about, I don't know how. I can't, not sure. Okay.
You must have been 7.
It's in the family letters.
You must have been 7.
Okay, say I'm 7. Now, the order from Baba, because he had disappointed everybody one last time, and he knew he was going to die, you know? So he wanted us all to have something, you know, some content.
Oh, well, when we get there, we're there. I will tell you.
Okay.
I will tell you
Okay, I want to talk about
the
that.
significance of that letter.
Oh, let me just finish that.
Okay.
He said, I want a letter from from all my lovers, including the children. That was in there, including the children. So it didn't matter what, he didn't say an age limit or nothing. Okay, so that's important because this relates to us. And your brother's letters, even in the family letters.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, he's a celebrity in the bubble. Go on.
Really?
Well, because of that. That's what kind of put him on the map.
Oh, okay. Okay. I do have a letter that was written by Erich to my brother, which is one of the most profound letters I've ever read. But it is a letter that belongs to my brother. And so when my mom died, it belonged to him, and as part of her estate that went to him, I gave it to him, but I made a photocopy.
Good.
And I did so because that letter is the kind of letter that will have a profound impact on people for thousands of years.
So you told you he was a celebrity?
For thousands.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, the power in that letter spans.
We're not in the family
spans,
letters.
Millennia.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Hey, is your name Christina in Lord Maher? As like the Rileys and their kids, Damien and Christina? Yeah? Yeah, me too.
Oh, I didn't even read it. Really?
In Lord Maher.
I haven't read it. Sorry. Did I just say that? Oops.
Okay, well, you're a very unvain person. Because me.
One time when I was in India, Erich actually got the letter that I wrote and showed it to me. And my hands were trembling.
Whoa!
I've never
You're kidding me. The one that we had to write?
Yep. I've never had an experience where my body was not under my control. Well, I mean, maybe I had a fever or something like that, but my hands were trembling like this. And yeah, it was, they keep everything. Everything is there. Everything. So,
I gotta add my little part. I know it.
Add it!
Okay.
Go!
My mother, now this disturbed me. I have a lot of detective work. I'm gonna skip it because this is your interview. But my letters never got sent, okay?
What?
My mother never sent them.
What?
Okay. But here's the weird. This is weird because I'm gonna say this is a positive thing for me. Okay. That was always my thing. It's like, yeah, I wrote a letter to Baba. Did you write a letter to Baba? Kind of like that. Okay. When I've learned this, I learned it because of the correspondence from Adi saying, "Dear Phyllis, Baba noticed that the letters from the children were not. I mean, he had gotten them from Mimi and Betsy, but not me and Leslie. He noticed that the letters were not there."
How do you know she didn't send them after that letter?
No, because I asked her. She never sent them. So, but the point,
I would still check.
No, I'm 100%. Because then another letter came from Adi saying, "Now I'm reminding you again." Then they gave up. The thing was, had she sent my letter, I wouldn't have that saying, "Mayor Baba noticed that the letters are missing," which means, that's what's saying right there.
You specifically are on my mind.
Yes, exactly.
You're on my mind.
Whereas I could have just gotten the, but I love that Erich got out your letter. I mean, that's what I would have liked to have had. That's wonderful.
I think Erich was quite a man, and I don't think he did things just one thing.
I felt he was
three
Baba working through him.
He would do 3 or 4 things at the same time, and I think one of the things he was doing was, because I was in the Mandalay Hall with other people there, and he was showing others this, you know, like that the avatar thinks of us all individually, and requesting a letter, you can hold on to that. You have a direct contact. You can hold on to that. If he had never requested letters, he'd be over there for me.
I agree. By the way, I do.
He's not over there, he's here.
Yeah, well, that's what he wanted. He wanted to make a link with everybody.
Exactly.
I don't know. Now let's go to 69. You just said that you got the sari and when you got back, but let's just mention your experience of what was Guru Prasad like to an 11-year-old?
Well,
I mean, because everybody was.
I want to get there.
Okay.
I want to get there.
All right.
I've come to see that secrecy, which was a natural thing, because it was, you know, the consequences of not having
unless you had Asperger's, it was just it was a healthy, normal thing response.
It was just a normal response.
You figure out how other people think, and then you know what they can handle.
Right.
If you're a smart kid.
I was living in very rural areas because my parents would buy land that was inexpensive.
By the way, people think of Woodstock as it sounds cosmopolitan. It's totally not. It's hillbillies.
Bumpkinville.
Yeah, really.
Bumpkinville.
Yeah.
With many summer homes that are worth $2 million.
This is the land of Rip Van Winkle.
Bumpkinville.
Yeah.
Totally Bumpkinville. So, you know, just not an educated population.
No, the artist community that's there, but they are the minority.
Yeah, not an educated population. I will say though, the West Hurley Elementary School was a good elementary school.
Okay.
The Woodstock Elementary School.
Oh. You didn't go to Lake Latrine? Lake Latrine. Katrine? Lake Katrine?
Lake Katrina or something.
You ever heard of it?
No, I don't know.
Okay, that's where I went.
It rings a bell. But so that secrecy was.
Lake Latrine. That's funny. Okay, go ahead.
That secrecy was a legacy behavior for me as I became an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And let me say this. At one point in my parents' entrepreneurial life, they decided to buy an antique store.
I remember it.
Here's how they decided to buy that. Oh, look, it says it's for sale. What do you think? Okay, this is how these people made decisions. So they went in there and they negotiated a price on it, and they said, we'll find the money somehow, and they bought an antique store, not knowing hardly anything about antiques. The only thing my dad knew about antiques was all the artifacts he brought back from India in 1962. And so he knew old things you can make money on. And so he built up this place called Winchell's Corner Store, which was on Route 28.
I thought it was super cool.
It was very cool. I mean, he didn't even, they were like old horseshoes and like harnesses, plow harnesses in the back that he just said, like, forget it, I'm not.
It had a dustiness that added to the whole thing, man.
He didn't like take everything out and start over. No. He just like started adding things, and it was like all this old crap that had been there for 50 years, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I remember these glass spectacles, and it said, belonged to George, well, somebody told me, maybe Damien said, belonged to George Washington.
That would make sense. And there were like records.
No, didn't George Harrison come in there?
Oh, well, my dad tells all these stories about this phenomenon that happened there. The Monday night meetings again resumed.
Okay.
And people were telling people, because people were going to India, like the Beatles. So going to India was a thing. And if you had been to India, well, we have that in common now. Or how'd that go for you? And like, That might be a thing I do.
And people kind of got it why they were going. It was the spiritual stuff.
Yeah. So it was kind of happening.
Yeah.
Now, Adele was still in Manhattan, and I believe that Anna Rosa still had Baba House, and then there was a network of
For
people.
people who don't know, these are older Baba lovers that had known Baba a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Meher Baba had sent them back to the West.
Yeah.
You know, to where they were from, and they were a kind of a hub for people who were interested in information and also sending out information. As an aside, Adele, over her lifetime, I can't even tell you how many copies of the Discourses and God Speaks she sent out to libraries in this country. I'm convinced that one of the books Adele Walken sent to a library was the book that Eddie Luck, Erwin Luck's brother, saw and became his connection to Meher Baba. So Adele, you know, there was this dissemination thing that Meher Baba very much wanted. Anyway, so these people were young people in their 20s, were doing drugs, were thinking about India, like the coolness of it.
Who are you talking about? Your parents?
Just these people in the United States. All kinds of people were.
So you're jumping way back. You're jumping to the early 70s?
When my parents bought Winchell's Corner Store and developed it, I think I was
That was after we had
9.
moved away.
I was 9.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you guys, Meher Baba sent an okay for the Rileys and the Otts to move on to.
Yeah, let's not mix the stories. It could become too
Yeah.
confusing. We'll do that another day. And we'll do a whole thing just on that.
Well, see, I was trying to do a chronology, but we'll just go where we're going to go. So they had Winchell's Corner Store, because we're kind of talking about the drug thing. They had Winchell's Corner Store, and the people who were in New York.
I kind of wanted to get off the drug thing. I don't care about drugs. I mean, I don't want.
Well, this is part of my. This is
okay,
this
so
is part of my
person.
life.
Okay,
No, I'm not a drug person, but this is part of my life.
Okay.
When these people who were experimenting with drugs, thinking about India, you know, the spiritualism and all this kind of stuff, you know, the Beatles and Ram, who was their master or something in India.
I don't even care. I mean,
Okay.
you've taken this talk.
So what happened is
stuff
people
that I'm not
became
interested in.
people became involved. These young people became involved with Meher Baba and came to people like Adele and Anna Rosa, and they were doing drugs, and the older Baba people could not relate, and so they would send them to Tom and Yvonne. So we had, I am telling you, a river of people who were either on drugs or coming like a week before coming off of drugs. And my mother cooked meals for them for like 4 years. And not a one of them ever offered to pay anything. Cindy Lowe.
Was this before or after the '69 Dash?
Before.
Okay.
So Cindy Lowe, that's her current name. She's been married, I think, 4 or 5 times. So twice to the same guy. You know, she came and like just started living with us. She just started living with us, and never paid rent. Never contributed to the food budget.
So she was a hippie.
At their core, these people were selfish.
No, they were juvenile delinquents.
Totally selfish.
Yeah.
Totally self-involved.
Yeah.
And I had been raised.
There's books about that.
I had been raised in a family where the people who were involved with Meher Baba are part of our special family. So it's a secret at school. This is part of our special family, and Meher Baba and the Mandali even refer to it as the family letters. And so I was hugging these people. I was like greeting them upon meeting them with a hug. And thinking that these people were my friends and part of a
fellowship that you belong to.
A fellowship of goodwill.
A secret society for you.
A fellowship of goodwill.
Yeah.
And that these people would be thinking of me and have my interests, in mind, more so than, say, the general public. And over the years, what I came to realize is that that was so absolutely not true. Yeah. It was, and for decades I carried that as an assumption. And these people were still,
no, you
I've
told
observed their
me
lifetime,
that
and
we
they are
both
still
confided that we started to
totally
realize
self-involved.
that we were not part of that when we were 18.
Yeah. Well, these people
I mean,
were
but then
totally,
you keep making the mistake. But
totally self-involved.
Yes, absolutely.
And that
Like kind of
continued in their life.
A group narcissism.
Totally self-involved.
Yeah.
And I've got the proof. My mom cooked 4 frickin' years of dinners, and there were always people. I remember one guy was on an acid trip at our dinner table.
Wow, I didn't know you guys did that. My parents did that. We served thousands of meals at the
what your mother went through. Yeah. That is one of the reasons I love your
mother.
But
you know, those people were degenerates. I mean, it was like living in a house. These people had been taking LSD the week before.
That's right. Absolutely
and
right.
they were coming down. I mean, they were like the vibes in the house.
Absolutely.
Yeah, talk about.
Anyway,
bad
I struggled with a resentment about that, and still do.
Yeah, good for you.
And still do. I'm working on it.
Well.
But these people are all old people now, and I see their function
that slow healing balm of death will solve this.
Well, I see. I have an arc
the
now,
tincture of time.
And my arc that I see is the selfishness and materialism, because materialism is the handmaiden of selfishness. It's you extend your selfishness to your stuff. So materialism means you are acquisitive, and these people, not all of them, some of them have been really broken by drugs, but many of them have become quite well off, and it was their money that funded the physical development of Meher.
And a lot of their energy. They put a lot of energy into the archiving and
building buildings and acquiring land and getting water, digging wells, getting water rights, and you know.
But thank God, because
paying bribes to Ahmed Nagar political officials.
I wouldn't want the job. So good. That's great.
And so they all created this,
it's good.
this culture among themselves, and Meher Baba wanted that to take place. He wanted them to have this
He used it for his work.
He used it, absolutely. And I was always
trying to get a lot done. And you know, it supported them mentally. You know, they had incomes. They could eat.
That's exactly right. And here was me.
Doctor.
Here was me. Yeah. Can I come in? Can I come in?
That's not gonna happen.
Will you let me in?
Well,
I was always knocking at the door, and the door never opened.
Even that.
And you know what? I'm so happy about it now.
Are you? Okay.
I am really, because my
it's
identity
kind of like
is not a part of their identity.
That where to be a citizen, you have to be a certain age. It's like a nation built on, and they even called it the Woodstock Nation in some songs.
It's a demographic.
It's a demographic, but they created a nationality around it. Like, because the only analogy is that you're not a citizen. You're an alien. You know, you will never be.
Never. They'll never let me in.
But you know,
yay!
This too shall pass, and we'll be back to 225 Baba lovers again.
Well,
in America.
Okay, now we're really jumping forward.
Well, now I'm doing futurism, which is a total. I shouldn't jump in.
Let's just have this be a
free for all.
A season of interviews. Anyway, so 69.
You know, I talked to Tom Talley about doing an interview, and at first he was like, "I haven't decided whether to do the interview." And then I talked to him again, and he goes, "I have to tell you that it would take a whole series of interviews."
That's right.
And so I said, totally, you got it.
You got it.
No more than 10 though. You know, like 10 hours. You should be able to. Okay.
So Meher Baba had been preparing for a great darshan, and in 1968, and he had said, you know, I'll be giving it lying down, and you know, they'll have never been one like it. And you know, ooh, so.
Oh, you are building till 69, which I asked you to talk
so
about.
we're building this up.
Because there's so much buildup. This is probably why you're making me realize why I was so disappointed myself, by the way.
There was real buildup for this.
Right.
Okay, it was the first time for my mom to go to India.
It's like a world's fair.
My mom had never been to India before.
Oh,
so
right.
Your mom had been to India.
Right.
Your dad had been
Yes,
to India.
right.
My dad had been to India.
Right.
My mom had never been to India. So this was a really big deal.
And she's got to bring children now.
And the kids had never been.
Right.
My brother and I had never been.
Right.
So she's got to think about that, inoculations. You know,
Right.
she's a medical professional, and she's thinking, you know, she's like, you know, dysentery. My kids are gonna get like, you know, parasites, you know, whatever. She wasn't that kind of a person, but you know,
it was a big, scary and difficult
was a
thing.
third world country.
Yeah, still is.
Still is. So, but I mean, it was like a fourth world country. Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, everyone was in bare feet.
No, people. Yeah, I remember it. I remember Bombay.
And dusty bare feet.
Dusty.
Dusty.
Wow,
very dusty.
the dust was
very
crazy.
dusty.
So
With
we're gonna get there. Let's get there because I want to.
Straws. Reused straws. Yeah, they just flip them over.
I just remember being on a train from like Bombay to Pune and just going, just you're caked in this yellow dust. It was kind of a nice, sweet dust in a way, but it was.
So
you get India on you.
You know, we're planning, and you know, I'm a very willful child. So I'm like, you know, doing my thing, and then a phone call comes. I'll never forget it. A phone call comes. My dad picks up the phone and very serious, and he goes, "Oh no," and starts to cry.
Oh, wow.
And I had never seen my dad cry.
No, neither have I.
Not that he was stoic, but it was just
no,
like...
he is kind of stoic.
He was, you know, reserved in a way that was just
my dad the
same
way. Yeah, my dad never cried.
I saw him cry and I went, whoa, this is something different. And he hung up the phone. Or did he give it to my mom? No, he hung up the phone. He hung up the phone and said that was Fred Winterfeld. Meher Baba has just died. And so we were all like...
And what went on in you? Because I know what went on in me when I heard it.
Tell me.
Anger.
Anger? Why?
I don't know.
Why?
I just felt cheated.
Really?
Like
you were...
we had moved to Myrtle Beach.
Oh my God, that's right.
Just like 3 years earlier.
Oh my, that's
Not
right.
Not even 3 years. Not even 2.5 years earlier.
Totally redone your life.
Yeah, we didn't have any. We didn't
you
know people. We
absolutely feel cheated and angry.
then they also
absolutely.
Yeah, then they're going on like, well, should we put up the flag over Lagoon Cabin today? And I was feeling like, hey, idiots, just all idiots. And by the when
should
you
we
get
put
to,
up the flag? So that was.
I just raised Baba's flag, the 7 colors.
I'm getting it.
I just
what
felt
an
like
incredibly
I just
thing
want.
to
Why
say.
didn't somebody just stand up going, fuck this?
I get it. Shall we raise the flag?
No,
that's like so superficial.
Because I was raised to believe my parent to that, and you will meet Baba too. That was what we were waiting to happen. I was drawing pictures of myself telling Baba jokes, and my parents were giving me good, reinforcement for that. I was being conditioned to, but I have to, because otherwise I'd be waiting. When I got to the tomb and we went in the tomb, and I'm jumping into your story.
You do it.
When I thought we were going to see the body. So that was the last straw.
Oh my God!
So we just went all the way. We first went to Myrtle Beach and he dies, and then we go all the way here to see his body, and they filled it in. Because I had seen the video. They had showed us the films of his body. So I thought, we're going to go down there and take a look at the film. And then you'll have seen Baba. But no, nothing for you.
Well, there was the issue of rotting flesh. But, I mean...
I could have handled it.
Well, I just don't think they wanted that.
I was a strong lad. No, I'm just joking. I didn't think that far.
Yeah, right.
Okay, go on. Now, I kind of jumped into your story, but I just have to say,
I must resonate and respond. Okay. I am resonating,
good,
and
good.
will respond.
I thought you would have had the same reaction, because we're like in some ways.
My mom had not been to India before,
so you might have felt sad.
So this was like over there.
Right.
It was over there.
It was way over there.
We hadn't moved to Myrtle Beach because they couldn't sell the place that they had, that property, and you know they couldn't. The logistics didn't happen. The logistics happened for your family like that.
Oh, for getting where to the center? Or,
yeah. And I remember the conversation. We're on your heels. We're right behind you. And then Meher Baba sent that letter saying, you know, we'll leave it up to Elizabeth.
You know, I'm not stopping you. You can say whatever you want, but sometimes I would like, it's enough material that we can do a talk just about the center and our two families.
I'll give you something, a detail on that. After Meher Baba had said to your parents and my parents, our families, that yes, we could live on the center, my dad and mom came down to the center. Elizabeth gave my dad a tour of the center and suggested places for his home. Right. And one of the places she suggested was right next to that.
Alligator Lake.
Alligator Lake. It was up on a knoll. There's a
I don't want this to be in scene. Let's wrap this up in the next 5 minutes, if you can. Ooh. Could you?
I'll try.
Because we've gone over now. We've gone well over an hour.
It'll end where it ends. Okay, so
right.
We'll stick with the 69 darshan.
Yeah, we'll end with the 69 darshan. We'll take
but
it up next time.
It won't be over. Yeah.
No, we're not going to be done.
Yeah.
We'll take this up again in the future.
So going to India changed my life. It was the first time I saw people who were that different and had that different a life, where they wore turbans and tucked like diapers, wore diaper-like clothing, and had bare feet, and some people had sandals. And their toes were like gnarly, and their feet were all dried out and cracked, and you know, and there were people who would come and show you a little parking lot show of a mongoose and a cobra, and that's how they made a living. Is they'd show you the mongoose and cobra fighting, and then you give them money for that. I mean, I read Rikki Tikki Tavi, you know, by Rudyard Kipling, but this was the real thing, and.
So this is way past Dickens and.
Oh my gosh, this was, it blew my mind.
Makes Tiny Tim seem rich.
It blew my mind, and I didn't realize it at the time, but it expanded my consciousness of humanity like an atom bomb. So when I came back to the United States, I was on a different trajectory as to how I saw people. And I could see situations from a much larger view. And I didn't even realize that until, you know, decades later. So in regard to the 69 darshan, I did have an experience there. There was a guy who was taking photographs. I don't know what his role was. He was just a guy taking photographs. But he had like a professional rig that was like, you know, lights and everything on his shoulder kind of thing. And
was he part of our group?
Yeah.
Well, it was Eduardo Nunez.
Maybe it was. And he was taking photographs of everything, including as people would go in and bow down in front of Meher Baba's sandals and chair where he would have been sitting. So he'd take a picture, and then he'd take other pictures, and take another picture, and take other pictures. I mean, he was just like a picture-making machine. And when we got back to the United States, I was told, you know, kind of, I think in a meeting or something, every single photograph he took of people taking darshan did not come out.
Oh.
The negative was just,
Wow.
just blasted. I mean, like it interspersed.
Sure.
Interspersed.
Yeah.
So he wasn't supposed to do that.
It might not have been Eduardo. I don't think he had a big rig. I think he.
Yeah, I think it was.
Eduardo took that picture on the tarmac with Leslie.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I wasn't even in that picture. I was in the bathroom.
And neither was I.
I was in the bathroom.
Neither was I. I think I was in the back ducking down with Damien.
I was in the bathroom.
Your brother.
Yeah. So the '69 darshan. I met the women mandali, and I was a tomboy. I would climb up the tree higher than anybody else, regardless of what your gender was. I wasn't competing with boys. I was just better than everyone. So I would climb up to the top of the tree, and I was very agile and, you know, physically fit as a kid, muscular, athletic, you know. And here are these women in saris, and they're very gentle. And Mayra, of course, couldn't really comprehend it as a like 11-year-old. Her state emotionally was grief of a level I just can't really even imagine. And then being forced into the public contact, she was a mess. She was like a mess. Just like chaos, I'm sure. So here she is, and she's being sweet. And, you know, she did not have a lot of contact with children. Most all contact she had was with adult women. Mm. So there weren't a whole lot of kids in her life. So she was very loving and sweet and, you know, not averse to kids. I mean, she didn't have a womanly attitude towards children would be affectionate, you know. So she was very sweet and affectionate. And she said, I would like to give you some prasad. And I'm like, prasad, that's that stuff that it's kind of like a connection with Baba. Yeah, okay, sure, yeah, thank you. And she gave me a chocolate bar, and I just had lunch. And I was told, eat that up right now. Eat that up right now. I got halfway through it, and I thought, if I finish this up, I will puke. And so I said, I'm going to save it for later. In 110-degree weather, that's going to go well. So.
Hi, Robin.
So
we're almost done.
So in 110-degree weather, that's going to go well. And she, you know, was very sweet and gave it to me. And I thought, what am I going to do with this? Cindy Lowe was there, and she goes, "I'll take that." And she scarfed up the rest of my chocolate. So I don't know. I don't know. It's just so in character.
Well, we'll end on the chocolate today, and we will continue wherever you like or we decide. And thank you for being with us again. This is the Chris Ott Show, and we'll see you next time.